All right, I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about one of my personal experiences in about storms and about tornadoes and how quickly they can come up and how quickly they come upon us. And just want to explain to you a little bit. My hopes are for today that once I explain my personal experience, that you'll be able to have a better understanding of how important it is to pay close attention to your surroundings, especially when it comes to storms and tornadoes and that type of thing, and to be alert and not to just become accustomed to having even newscasters and meteorologists and rely just on them, but to rely more on you being aware. And there's a good reason for that. And you know what? Meteorology today has come such a long ways, and they do such a good job, so much better today than in the past, of forecasting storms, and we become very reliant on those type of forecasts. And they do a great job, but they're not always perfect, and they're not always right. Sometimes storms can pop up quickly, and they don't get forecasted as quickly as they need to be, and it just means that we need to be alert and ready to go and paying attention to our environment. So my story, and one of the things that happened to me that's really changed my mind on storms and how unpredictable they are, is in 2008, June, my family experienced a tornado in the Millard area in Omaha, Nebraska, and it was at an odd time at night was one of the problems with the forecasting of it, and it's just hard to do that. So it happened at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's funny because all day there were storms coming and going, and it was an unsettled environment, and there was a lot of prediction of severe storms. We really didn't get a lot of severe storms that day, but and my kids were asking the question, what would we do if there was a tornado? And so one of the things I've always said to my children when it comes to what are we doing as a tornado is to ease their fears at 9, 10, 11, in their younger teenage years, was I always ask them, how old are you? And they would say, 12, 13. I said, in 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, you've been on this earth, have you ever seen a tornado? And they would always say, no, I haven't seen a tornado. And so I always, prove the point by saying, well, if you haven't seen a tornado in 14 years, you're probably not going to see another, one in another 14 years. Just being, relaxing them on the whole idea of tornadoes and being worried or scared of storms. And it was probably a wrong thing for me to do because I had to eat my words that night. Because at 2 o'clock in the morning, as we're all in bed, sound asleep, we're not expecting anything to happen. It had cooled off that night. Fortunately, we had left our windows open, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, I could hear it coming. And it's that distinct sound. You always hear people say that it sounds like a train or a locomotive. It absolutely did. And when I first started hearing it, and I'm still kind of groggy, it's like, what is that? That's a weird, it's just a sound you don't normally hear. And as I probably seconds, but it seemed longer than just seconds, but probably in just seconds, my mind started to process, you know what, that is a tornado. There's no doubt in my mind. You could just hear the rush, the sound that was coming on us. And so I sat up in bed and I yelled to my wife to run to the basement, and I proceeded from there. She ran to the basement. The windows behind us started breaking as we were leaving our bedroom, getting out of bed, rushing out of there. I went to my daughter's bedroom first and grabbed her, and this thing's bearing down and things are starting to crack and splinter, and you can hear noises, and she's sound asleep. And so I drag her out of bed, I get her to the hallway, and I mean, as fast as that, the roof was gone. It just took it immediately, just in a big clap. And so I collapsed on top of her in the hallway. It started raining in on us immediately, and that's how fast it happened. And there was no warning, no tornado sirens, no forecast that night of bad weather. It seemed that it had passed and gone on, and it just came out of nowhere. And fortunately, we had the windows open, and I guess, paying attention to that noise is probably what helped keep us safe that night. But fortunately, it just took the roof off the house too. And if it had been one of those tornadoes that was leveling houses, it could have been a different outcome. But I guess the point to all that is that we many times become complacent. We rely on meteorologists, and they have a tough job to predict these storms, and they're really unpredictable. Mother Nature does its thing, and we can't always predict what that is. And so I'm encouraging you not to become complacent, not to just rely upon meteorologists, but to pay close attention to your surroundings. There's just little things sometimes that maybe could even save your life, I suppose, in situations like this. So to pay attention, to be vigilant, to always paying attention to your surroundings, and I guess looking for that safe place or a safe way out is what I would encourage you to do. And again, that complacency that comes upon us, and even me telling that story to my children of, how long, that's just, I was encouraging them to be complacent, and I suggest that you don't do that, but that you're always aware and that you're always paying attention to your environment. So I hope that maybe my story will help you be a little more aware of what's going on around you and pay close attention, and I hope you never have to go through a severe storm or a tornado like that yourself. Thanks.